Lessons from Oneness is a channeled book. We thought that I'd start first and talk a little bit about channeling, the process of channeling, how I came to it, and then Richard will talk more about the book. And then if you've got questions, we'd be delighted to do questions and answers. So how many people here know the name Edgar Cayce? Wow. I am impressed. Well, there are a few who do not, so I will talk about him because he was a channeler, and I would say the most consequential psychic of the 20th century. He lived from 1877 to 1945, and I would put him on a par with Nostradamus. I really would, because
Cayce on that level with Nostradamus?
I would absolutely put him on a level with Nostradamus. So his process was different. Imagine this. He goes into a darkened room and he lies down on a sofa, and what is it?
It's a family thing, don't worry.
Oh. And as he's lying down on the sofa in this darkened room, he hypnotizes himself, and in that self-hypnotic state, he went to another level of consciousness, and in that state, he opened himself to master souls coming through, and he suggested medical cures. And he suggested medical cures that are on record in Virginia Beach, which doctors still research and look into. Because in that state where he was tapping into oneness, was getting, groundbreaking cures. So, when a leg is broken today in multiple places, they put a metal rod in it. That's common today. That was through Edgar Cayce. He taught reincarnation, and over a period of 50 years did literally thousands of life readings. And he gave prophecy, even beyond our time. And I have no doubt, I would put money on it, that in the Virginia Beach headquarters of the Cayce Foundation, there's probably something about Russia and Ukraine happening right now that he prophesied. Well, his wife and or his secretary would be in the room, and they would give him questions. And as I said, the ascended masters would come through him. He would call it tapping into the Akashic records, but really he was communicating with oneness. And as a young person, I was really fascinated by Cayce and also his secretary, because I imagine what would it have been like to be in that room, having all this wonderful stuff explained to you from the masters. And I am convinced that I was, in a sense, manifesting, because about 20 years later, when I was in my 40s, I met a woman who channeled just like Edgar Cayce. Her name was Eileen. And every Sunday for 6 years, every Sunday without exception, I would sit before her and we would meditate. And then she would go off into another consciousness. She'd have an out-of-body experience. And then master souls would speak through her. And they were primarily Saint Germain and Serapis Bey, but she channeled Kuan Yin, she channeled St. Francis. Occasionally, she channeled Jesus. And what was interesting was that all of these ascended masters talked about energy. This was, on TV, there are these master classes. It was like a master class in energy because they told us that everything is energy. You and I are energy, and that we have the ability to, by the way we live, by the way we think, by the way we treat our bodies, to raise our vibration, like turning up a frequency, and in this lifetime, move to another dimension. We're all capable of doing that in this lifetime now. Well, I have to stop here and say that for much of my life, I have been a skeptic. I have been the person that says, oh, really? Prove it. And so this one day, Eileen was channeling Serapis Bey. And at the end of the session, he said his goodbyes. And I looked up, and at Eileen's heart center, there was an explosion of light. There wasn't noise, but it was a visible explosion of light that came from her heart center and then went out in a flash horizontally, like that. And looking back on it, it was like an explosion of light in slow motion. And I got to tell you, that was awesome. It was one of the most important moments of my life. And it was a validation. Because first of all, it was saying that what I was experiencing was real. And secondly, it was a validation that beyond the veil, there are master souls, there are guides, there are loved ones who are really concerned with our spiritual progress and our growth and our ascension. And so the next week, Eileen channeled Serapis Bey again. And when these sessions were going on, I could converse with whomever she was channeling. I could say, could you repeat that? I don't understand that. Could you explain that further? Anyway, Serapis Bey was there, and I think you'll appreciate this. I said, I saw the light. I saw the light. And Serapis Bey said, yes, I did that for your benefit because I know you're a doubting Thomas. So around this time, a member of your congregation, Mary Ann Ford, gave me a psychic reading. And she doesn't remember this, but she said to me, you are going to be channeling, but it's not going to be like Eileen. You're going to do automatic writing. And so I was excited about that. And I started practicing automatic writing, but I didn't know what automatic writing was. I thought that I'd put a pen in my hand and my hand would just start, moving, and oh my gosh, look what came out. And then I decided, okay, we're going to make this ceremony, So I shut the Venetian blinds and I lit a candle and I sat down and I waited and nothing happened. Maybe I did this over a matter of weeks, I'd say, well, I'll try it again today. And I tried it 3, 4, 5 times. And then one day I sat down. And what I experienced was, in the quiet, and I'm listening, I hear 2 words, and it is as though they are on a recorded loop. And the words are, we are, we are, we are, we are. And so I write down, we are. This was in 2014, January. Actually, this was almost exactly 12 years ago. And as soon as I wrote down we are, a whole sentence came out. We are delighted to be able to come through. And then a paragraph came, and then a page. And today there are notebooks filled with journalings. I call automatic writing journaling, because what I do is, first of all, I ask for only the highest to come through. And then I say, I am open and ready to receive. And then I ask a question, and then I get an answer. And I know that I am getting answers from guides, master souls. And I thought I would share with you one example. So I just give you an example of one of the journalings. So a number of years after that experience that I shared with you with the light, I wrote down, when I witnessed Serapis Bey leave Eileen's body with a flash of light, can you tell me what was actually happening in the process? And immediately, Serapis Bey was there. And I'm just going to take a little segue here and say, what I have learned is that when you speak of somebody on the other side of the veil, it's like you pull a little cord and they know. And I truly believe this is why you hear the saying, speak no evil of the dead, because they are there with you. Let me tell you. And I could give you examples of that. But anyway, I asked what really happened in that process, and Serapis Bey was there, and he said, what you experienced was my energy moving between dimensions. Ordinarily, I can make that in a smooth transition because, as you might imagine, an ascended master does not want to startle others, or for that matter, even let their presence be known. There are exceptions, of course. And in the instance you remember, I meant to validate that I was truly working through Eileen. I therefore manipulated my energy in a way that was the equivalent of light to sound as a sonic boom. I'm glad it had the profound effect that was meant. To be more specific, imagine a time in a locker room when you took a towel and snapped it to make a cracking sound. The same effect can be done with light, not in a physical way, but through thought. I am creative, and my palette is light. Isn't that great? So about 8 years ago, I went to a St. Germain workshop that was at the top of 4th Street, Unity, and met some lovely people there like Kathy Braun and Sherry and Richard. And Don Sandin was the moderator. Remember Don and Janine? And that workshop was about ascension. And I thought it was going to be like 6 weeks or something like that. We all were having so much fun and learning so much that it went on for 2 years. And it was there that I met Sherry and Richard. And it became very clear to me quickly that Richard and I had many overlapping interests. We're both graphic designers, both creating art projects, both interested in metaphysics, reading the same books. And I knew that Richard was communing with his guides, and I suggested trying journaling the way I did, and he did, and he does, and so as we both were journaling, we found that our questions were answered in a way that corroborated each other and added to what each of us was getting, so that in a way we were sort of leapfrogging over each other in growth. And it was so exciting and so profound that we decided we really need to put out a book. And so we labored on this. I say labored because it was a lot of fun and very exciting. But we worked on it 18 months to 2 years. And I will say that we have included in each lesson of the book examples of actual journalings with their dates and the questions and the answers. And so we think it's very interesting reading. And I'll let Richard say some more on that. Thank you.
So, thank you for coming. And thank you for being interested in our project. It was a labor of love. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, our journey. Like Mark said, when I discovered how to journal, I said, oh my goodness, I can figure out anything. I mean, the answers that were coming were very profound. And like we had let me get back up. We had a book club of 2. And it was, we kept going through books, metaphysical and spiritual books, which had lots of information, and we digested these line by line, literally. We would come in and we have questions, and we discuss these questions, then we journal the questions. I'll tell you what happened. We had aha moments almost every Friday that we met. We met every Friday morning. The interesting thing is that the questions that we had reverted to experiences in that week, that we experienced life through these journalings, and
they became living lessons.
They were living lessons. That's what life is about. It's about living experiences, learning and going through the process of experiences. So, what did this do for us? Well, we got a journaling saying, keep doing what you're doing, because in this process, and that's the key word, life is a process. It's not the end result of whatever you accomplish. That's not the end result. And the whole thing about life is that you live it. It's going through the process. So that process solidified or enhanced our beliefs, and we got even more information downloaded from oneness. The takeaway from this is that life is an experience that you have to experience, and that's how you learn. And that's how you learn. And what we found out is that the things we're asking were so profound, but yet they were simple. And we discovered, or we were motivated to write this stuff down in our journals. Like Mark said, we have notebooks, many, And so we started putting these together. After we digested all the books from the book club, we decided to, let's put this together. Let's make this our project. And we have had so much help from the other side. It's incredible. All you have to do is ask. And I want to tell you, I'm going to do a little sidebar. Everybody in this room can channel. I want you to know that. What is channeling? Channeling is being in the moment, doing something that you're excited about. Anything that you do that you love, and it compresses time. You lose track of time. That's channeling. So I would, artists channel, musicians channel, politicians channel. They get their inspiration because we're being bombarded with love all the time. And but going back to how simple it is, we discovered that anything that you can perceive around you, well, let me back up on that. Life's so simple that if you are missing something, all you have to do is look around you. Look at nature, look at people, places, and things, because they are reflecting back to you your answers. And we realized, when I realized this, that, and a lot of people might know this, but what really profound for me is that anything that's micro is also macro in the universe. The solar system's huge, but so is atoms are designed the same way. So, and life is like that. If you look at the plants and the nature, actually, it's an interesting thing about plants and how you react with plants. Sherry and I were with a friend, and he says, "Did you ever see this?" And there was a plant in a garden, and he got down to it, and he said, "I love you," to the plant, and the plant moved towards him. And then he said, "I hate you," and the plant moved away. There, we're all connected to even nature, and we're even connected as persons and spiritual beings. So, the other thing, I was riding my bicycle to pick up my truck that was being repaired, and it was like 3 miles away. And I was going across this bridge, you might know it, where Bay Pines, the trail goes across the water. And I realized that anything I ever need is right in front of me. That made me feel so free that I didn't have to go searching for things. Yes, it's good to go look out on the outside for books and talk to people and stuff, but everything you really know is right here, and just pay attention to that. I always have this saying, I tell Mark, it's my railroad and I'm staying on my track, So I just want to say two more things that going back to what we found is that life's the process, and there's no time limit on the process. You're either ready for it or you're not. And that was freeing to me. So I don't have to worry, when am I going to ascend to? Well, I'll get there because I'll be ready for it. And the gift of life is the process. It's not the end result.